The following live broadcast is rated ESV PG. We don't know exactly what we're going to say because things are changing all the time. Good evening, everybody. On tonight's show, we're going to be talking with different people about how they have changed over life and if they feel like they've lost themselves, if they feel comfortable where they are right now, or they think they can get back to where they once were. It's a problem that affects everybody. We all grow older, and we're going to find out exactly how we can deal with it. Should we just move on, or is it a good thing to try to grasp onto the past? We'll find out. You guys ready?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yes.
That's better. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Ear Shoulder Voice. My name is Keith Litfin. We're glad to have you here tonight. You know, it's been really hard, and a lot of people have gone through a lot of things over the past year, especially with the pandemic, the year and a half. But even more so, just as we grow older, we start to forget who we are. And sometimes it's not a matter that we forgot who we are. It's a matter of the fact that we end up changing. It can be due to a relationship, somebody else in our life that changes us, makes us feel like someone else. And it's not until we've gone through this change that we look back and go, oh my God, where's that person I once was? You miss that person. Maybe you were always happy, you were always cheerful, getting things going, and now everything's mundane. There's no purpose, there's no reason. How do we bring that back? Today's topic is finding yourself again. It's exactly as it sounds. Where did you go? Can you get back to the person you once remember? So we think you can. I think you can. I don't know if everybody thinks you can, but I definitely think you can. But I also want to hear what you got to say, because don't forget, you can live chat during the show. We'll respond to everything you say in real time. You can also call into the show simply by going to earshouldervoice.com/join, and then you can join us live on the panel. And finally, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and follow the Ear Shoulder Voice on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and we're on all that. But again, it's not my show, it's your show, and it's the show of our panel, so let's bring them in. All right, our first panelist tonight, please welcome back the amazing Anthony. Anthony, how you doing?
Living the dream.
Living the dream. You're living the dream every single day that I talk to you, pretty much.
Yeah.
But that's not always a dream. A lot of times it's a nightmare, too, it seems like.
Nightmares are also dreams, though. And it sounds a lot better to say you're living a dream than a nightmare.
It does, it does. Well, which side of that spectrum are you on today?
It's kind of dreamy. I'm happy to be home.
That's good. Yeah, you're finally back.
I'm
You were in
still
Canada for a
riding that
while.
high for a minute. Yeah. I was there for about a month.
That's the only reason we didn't have shows. We didn't have you. Without you, we got no show.
What are you talking about? I was doing shows in Canada.
I know. Well, I was lying. I was trying to make you feel good. But anyway, I got to do what I can. So, have you experienced any of this trying to find yourself again, or feel that you've changed over time?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
You have formal foundations here. I got to read it out anyway. But boys and girls, it's Wednesday. It is an amazing day. The birds are chirping. The rat race is over. Time to sit your fat ass in a tiny padding pool and let a huge relaxed fart. Let out a huge relaxed fart. And that is exactly the kind of day I like to have. That is the typical end to the day. And whoop whoop, it's Anthony. Glad to have you. All right, that's good. So, how do you feel like what do you feel has changed in your life?
Well, I've done a lot of growing, for sure. I'm definitely not the happy-go-lucky person I used to be in my youthful years.
Now, you think that's growing?
To a certain extent.
Okay, well, I want to definitely hit on that, because I don't think as you get older that you have to get rid of the happy-go-lucky person. I don't think that's an aspect of growing, and I think some people see it as one, as you do yourself, so we're going to touch on that a little bit later. But we've also got another person here who's definitely been through his ups and downs in life, as he's been on our show many a times. Please welcome back Bill. Bill, how you doing? All right.
Oh, I'm doing quite fine. Day's been going relatively easy, and the weather's nice.
Well, that's
hanging in there.
Yeah, the weather is nice, at least here where I am in Michigan. It's nice. No, it's warm, but I mean, I got a pool, so I'm okay with that. So, Bill, I mean, if
Oh, I wish I had
anybody,
a pool.
well, if you got a bathtub, it's the same thing. It's just indoors in a smaller space. Just put cold water in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it never worked for me either. So obviously, with your life, Bill, you've lived through ups and downs. You've been on here many a times. Have you felt at all in your life that you completely lost hold of who you once were that you used to really appreciate and love?
Yeah. I became depressed and cynical. Um, I didn't trust people. And I think that was brought about through past issues that I had, bad learning experiences. But I had to be honest with myself. And that's the basis of for me finding myself is I had to be honest with me as to who I was, things I did, my reactions, responses to other people, and I'm growing from that. I'm still in that growing process. I'm
So,
still trying to find myself, but I'm doing a better job.
where do you think you are on that? Do you think that you've definitely turned things around to where you're still happy with where you are, even though you may have more work to do or further to go?
Well, I'm happy with where I'm at because I look back at where I was. All right, where I was in a rehab place. Why? Because I slit my wrist. All right, never want to go back to that. That type of loss, of oneself. It's a very dark place.
So you were pushed to the extreme. Now, when you were pushed to the extreme, do you have anything particular you can pinpoint on that, or I guess it's in essence blame for that push?
Well, I blame me mainly how I handle things. All right, that comes with being honest with oneself. All right, there are things I could have done differently, but I can't beat myself over the head with it either, because that's a step backwards. You learn. You learn, you say, it's like touching a hot pot. You burnt yourself. Now, what are you going to do? You're going to touch it again? So that's basically where I'm at now. I look back at stuff as a lesson learned in regards to people, decisions, and stuff.
All right, we might have Jan on here right now. Jan, how you doing? Can you hear us? I don't think she can. Jan is having. She was supposed to be on earlier. She's having some internet issues right now. We'll keep you there for just a second if you don't disappear, Jan, so we can talk to you. But right now we can. Can't hear us apparently. Formal Foundation says, I think personally that he has found himself and gave me a view on life that everyone has always wanted to put me in a negative place. Finding myself was actually finding the new version of me that would allow me to not be as interested in other people's opinions, but that the only view that counts is my own. So I agree with Bill's cynical views on what really matters. I actually do. I don't think that cynicism is necessarily a bad thing for views, because what he was saying, I'll only bring it up again, because what he's saying in here is finding the new version of yourself, and sometimes you realize the mistakes you've made in the past. Sometimes you realize what was bad for you and how other people's opinions have brought you down or taken you to another place. I personally feel I need to find myself again. I'm kind of in that crossroads right now. I am not who I was, and it's really hard for me to see that, because I like to believe I'm still happy and fun and energetic and outgoing, and probably as most people see me outside, they believe that. They think that I still am, unless they talk to me deep, in which case, or ask me how you do. I'm like, life sucks. I was like, but I'm here. Or unless, pretty much my answer is always, I'm alive. So that's the best I got going for you. Formal Foundation says growth doesn't always mean change. Sometimes it's just finding grounding. And that is one of the things I wanted to bring up, especially because with Anthony feels that he's growing as well. But that doesn't always mean change. You're absolutely right in that sometimes it's just finding the grounding. And who here feels they've at least found a ground, even if they need to improve upon it? You do? What about you, Bill?
I found a ground. I had to, I found the ground in this, when I went to Emmanuel House. All right, I couldn't use the Bill Pace character that I invented. All right, they saw through it. And I was forced to find my ground there with the time I spent there and take a deeper look at myself, and that was my foothold. Plus, I had a friend, Jan, who has been helping me all along. Even I talked to her about everything and anything, whatever bothered me. Uh, Issues that I didn't share with other people, I shared with her because I trusted her, and that was my grounding.
Did this friend that you talked to, did Jan, did she know you back before this? How long has she known you?
She knew of me. We went to the same high school, but we never knew each other. She said she's seen me in high school, but that was back. You do it way back
Well,
when.
yeah, there was only like 30 kids
Back,
per school or something, right? It was one of those single room
yeah,
houses. I know.
yeah, we were still carrying clubs. We were carrying our clubs to
Walking
school.
uphill both ways.
We did. At what moment? And I'm gonna let me start. I'll start with you, Anthony. At what moment did you realize there was something wrong and you needed to find a different path?
Oh, um, I'd have to say my mid 20s.
Your mid 20s. Was there an incident or anything like that that made you look back, and go, wait a minute?
Nothing in particular. I think starting my current job had a big role to play with it, and just kind of realizing that there's more to just going out and partying.
So yours was more like redefining your
Yeah,
life as well, which is good. And that's you're likely to go through another change too. In that view as well as you work longer, eventually you're going to want to get back to the party mode. I think we both have a mutual friend actually that
that's where I'm at now.
yeah, okay, so you're
Didn't take
looking.
long. Maybe about 7 years, and now I'm like, okay, there needs to be a nice work-life balance.
I got a question here from Formal Foundation for Bill. A fair warning, Bill. Formal Foundation, he's definitely into questions of the mind and personal thoughts and
Makes you
stuff.
think.
So he really does. He says, if you confront any persona in order to feel you're happy, what would it be, and how does it define your views of you? Do you understand what he means there, Bill?
No, I don't exactly understand. Explain persona. Uh, what is
Uh,
it? Part of me, a person.
it could be. I think it's just if you could put on a face. If it's like me, my persona is that of the entertainer.
Well,
You
that's
know,
kind of what I like to do. Is I like to entertain. I like to see people laugh. All right. I don't like to see people cry. I don't like to see people angry. So I like to. I don't want to go around the world with a grumpy face. Okay, I
right.
see that. Some people do that, and they all they do is they make other people miserable as well as themselves. And I don't want to be that type of individual. I mean, I know this. I have responsibility and stuff. I can't shun that, but I'm not going to be a constant bitcher. All right, because life disagrees with me in
But
certain
there's
instances.
there's partly an issue when you do that because then sometimes you've got a front and you're actually hiding a lot of stuff or holding things back that can essentially make you unhappy on the inside while presenting this outside view. Something I'm extremely guilty of, as we talked about, over the years. It's so the persona can't necessarily, I guess, it wouldn't be something to hide who you are, but just a front that you could put up that makes you still happy. And I use the entertaining because it does truly make me happy to make other people happy, to entertain them, to do something. That's one of my personal things. But I have a problem with that because I'm hurting inside. And it wasn't until this last year and a half that I decided to really talk about it. Actually discuss it with people. Or a year, I guess, is actually more appropriate. But what about you, Anthony? Do you understand what he's asking there?
Yeah. So myself, I wish I was more of a social person. I wish I was more of an extrovert. And if I could put on a front, it would be kind of just more extroverted and that would make things a little happier, but who really knows?
And the second part is how would that persona define your views of you? Is that, and I think that's something like inside you want to say things. Like if the simplest way to put it, I believe what he means is like you're at a party and people are talking about a subject and you want to have something to say. It's in you. You want to get it out there, but you won't because that front scares you. So you're saying,
corner.
yeah, so you would, yeah, you're a wallflower pretty much. And it would define your views of you. That was a good question, Formal, on there. And Formal Foundation says he's just here to keep us guys thinking. My DMs are open as per usual. Bill, becoming the non-bitcher moaner doesn't mean you're not expressing those views. It just means you wouldn't be seeing yourself do it. So this could come out in how you approach your subtle changes to voice and such. And that is what I was talking about briefly too. There's got to be a happy medium somewhere where you can express but not necessarily be the complainer. Because my experience from what I've seen with different people is they go one extreme to the other. Like they decide we're going to open up about this. So next thing you know, they're opening up about everything and they're opening a can of whoop ass on every single person they've ever met on there. Or they decide, I got to stop being so negative. So they bottle up every piece of negativity inside, and there's just this fake, artificially happy person on the outside. But you need to find the middle ground, and I'm struggling to do it myself right now. I don't know if anybody has successfully been through this that's watching, besides Formal Foundation. He says he thinks he found that. By the way, Formal Foundation, you're always free to call into the show if you want. He says I'm on the opposite end of the scale. I feel I have to over-talk and open, which leads me to becoming negative with a positive persona. All right, so I'm going to stop talking so much. All right. Because nailed it. And go on there. And Bill says, I am very shy and quiet until I insult you. A lot of times... Really, dogs?
Dog wants to have his say.
Bill, I wouldn't take you for a shy and quiet guy, Bill.
No, I wouldn't either. Never. But he actually, if you've ever met Bill in person, because I know him from one of my bars, if you ever met Bill in person, he kind of is shy and quiet. He kind of keeps to himself a little bit. Once he knows you, that shit is out the window.
Okay.
Once he's talked to you, that shit's out the window.
I get that.
But he does. He's an observer. You know? Like me, people think I'm outgoing, but I'm not. You take me to a party, I sit in a corner.
Yeah.
I just watch what's going on. I don't say anything I'm afraid to. As Formal says, it's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Bill. Yes, but I get what Bill's saying, especially because with me, I consider my personality to be a lot of the rude, sarcastic, and I like to say witty, but probably not. But
You have your moments.
side of things. And I am quiet so I can get one of those out because I feel like a personality. So anyway, all right. So tell me more. They're going insane for some reason right now. So tell me more, Anthony. How do you feel you are? You said you wanted to bring your inside out, right?
Not really my inside out. I feel like I would almost have more, I don't know, friendships, and I'd be able to meet people easier if I was a little more extroverted, if that makes sense. Because for the most part, I just keep to myself. Unless I'm comfortable with people. Like, I'm sure you understand that.
Yeah. Part of the show is, like we said, this episode is finding yourself again. And do you feel you've been to that point before?
To being
where you were more open and you were a little more extroverted, not so introverted?
No, I've always been more introverted. In high school, I think my senior year, I was a little extroverted, but that was kind of because the people I hung out with, I knew all of them and I was constantly around them, so I was comfortable.
I get what you're saying on that. So you there was a change, but you were never a fully out extrovert.
No, God, no. That scares the hell out of me.
Oh, believe me, it can be scary, I know. Formal says people watching on Nights Out also form analysis on yourself, which is true. How some people react and how you would deal with the same situation, which is, I'm one of those people who typically would let it brush off my shoulders. But yeah, people watching is, and it almost is something when people watch, they do it to, I believe, to make a change for their environment. They want to enter that environment suited for that environment. They don't want to be the oddball out. They want to say their first words makes them think they belong there. And that's what I think a lot of people watchers do. Bill, how about you?
Well, in my high school years, all the way from junior high through high school, I slowly became introverted because I had trouble finding acceptance. I had trouble with making friends, and I found myself struggling to find myself in a clique that I could fit into. So I was very introverted. And when I got out of high school and went to college, things were different. And I recognized that because I wasn't with a bunch of immature people. All right.
Yeah.
And
Not like now.
I was able to say what was on my mind without being shoved in a locker, and that made a big difference with me.
You don't hear anything,
And
Jan? Go ahead, Bill.
it was a gradual process. I had to see a psychologist. All right. I even took a class in psychology and started asking myself questions and stuff, and I realized why I was introverted. All right, and that was because I was made to feel bad about myself. I didn't like myself, and because I didn't like myself, I invented a different character. And it wasn't the real me. I put on, I put on the clown suit. Okay.
Now, was it not the real you, or was it an extension of you? Because there's a difference. I am a different character. I want to point this out. I am a different character at work than I am like my private life. You just come over. Not if you're coming for a party, then I'm still crazy. But you just come over. I'm a completely different character. But that character is an extension of me. It is still the same person. It's not an act. It's who I am inside. Now, do you feel that your character is an extension of you, or somebody kind of totally made up that is the opposite of you?
I think it's a phase of me. All right, but I've given it more control over other aspects of me that really determine who I am. So it was like hiding behind a mask. All right, that mask is your mask. All right, that is you, but it's only one aspect of you. And I use that as a defense mechanism.
I understand.
When people would do something to me, I would laugh it off. Sometimes when deep down inside I was hurt.
This is where I'm going to get to the next comment, which has a little bit to do with that on there as well. But first, Jan, can you hear us?
Good.
All right. So that's good. We're good. Okay, so welcome, Shan. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you on here. All right, first to Bill's comment says, working the doors at the bars over the years, you learn to observe first. And I think that's where a lot of mine came from, is just working the bars in general. That's what you do, and you learn how to approach appropriately to each situation. I did security before I started doing the karaoke and started the entertainment business, and they kind of crossed over. So I did both for a while, and it does. It's where you learn to observe. I'm going to go to Formal's comment. It says, finding yourself again. Who the hell has already found themselves in order to be able to do it again? The thing about finding yourself again, you didn't necessarily find it the first time. You were who you were. The very first time, and like for me in school, I went to different phases. In school, I was a lot like Bill, actually. I was a mask. I had to let things roll off, and I was a holy terror otherwise. I was a fucked up kid who was grabbing for attention all the time. That was back when I was in school. As I got out of school, I became the shit. Like, I stopped caring about anything. Everybody loved me. All my friends were around all the time, having the best. They would turn to me for any kind of entertainment, anything to do. I was the person. I was like the center of most people's universe. And I didn't try to find myself for that to happen. I just released everything inside. Now, what has changed over the years? I've lost most of that. Some can blame it due to age, just evolving, jobs, families, whatever those are. I've heard about them. I don't really know a lot about them. But it has evolved over time with that. And now it's gone, and I want to get back to it. And that's where I think it's finding yourself again. It's finding the person who you know you are, where you were most comfortable in life, where you felt you belonged in that moment. We got another comment from him I'm going to bring up in a minute. But first, Jan, since you're just joining the show, tell me about you and your situation with finding yourself again.
Bad bringing up. Couldn't be who I wanted to be. Didn't know who I was. In the school, I wasn't going to fit in. No biggie. I was there to learn. I didn't care about the friends. Didn't have any friends really, about maybe 3, which are no longer, been long gone a long time ago. Then I got on my own, had my kids and everything. And every relationship since the divorce a long time ago, every relationship I had been in, it was to please, I had to please them in order for me to be able to keep them in my life, because I thought I needed somebody. So, like Bill said, I wasn't being me inside. I was being me who they wanted to be, me.
Did you ever get a chance to be you?
Maybe about, since I came down here, down Texas, that's when Sheena and I basically, we finally came into ourselves and said,
Danny.
you know what, this is us. This is me. Okay, I'm not wearing a mask no more. This is what you see. This is the inside and the outside. That's what you see. You don't like it? I'm sorry. I'm me now. This is what I want. This is how I want to be.
I believe that accepting who you are and putting who you are out there for the world to see is a very important step to do.
Yep.
Because then people often fall in love with falsehoods and falsities, things that are not real. And it's because of the faces other people put on. And we've all had, I mean, look at most relationships out there. You know, you are after this person, you like this person, you get in a relationship, you see everything that's behind the mask that was not put out in front. And it changes. When you become someone like myself, which I've also found that, and you put yourself right out there, you got the same fucking person. Just maybe not as eccentric, you know, because part of the job is eccentric. I'm going to go back to Formal Foundation on this. He says, going back to find yourself on a version of you after growth is a step back, and I disagree with that statement. And he says, I think this delves into illnesses such as multiple personality disorders. All those factions of yourself are just defined versions of your core personality. Anyway, someone chooses to present themselves, it's still a version of their core. But I highly disagree with this statement. I don't know. Anthony, how do you feel about that statement?
I'm just trying to comprehend everything real quick.
All right.
Growth?
What are you saying?
I'd have to disagree with that. I understand the concept that he's saying, but I wouldn't necessarily call that a step back.
No.
Right? I do understand having, you know, if you have someone who, in this setting, they're this, in that setting, they're that, depending on the situation, that can be, you know, considered kind of a borderline multiple personality disorder. But, sorry, I tend to drift away from the microphone a bit.
That's okay.
But
yeah, stay up there, Anthony.
I feel like if you...
Suck that microphone.
But anyway, I digress. I feel like if you're in public or by yourself, having those two different personas, I don't really consider that like anything of an enemy, right? Because there is that person that you want other people to see, and then there's the person who you are when you're truly comfortable. And
Right.
I'm speaking kind of from personal experience. If I go out to bars and stuff, that's a different me than if you catch me at home. I'm
I
the
used to
same
joke-
person, but it's slightly, I'm more reserved out and about.
Right. And I used to joke with people a lot. I always say that when a woman burps or farts, it's one of the sexiest things in the world. And it's really not. But I used to say that for
It's not?
one. Huh? I mean, the act itself is not, is what I'm saying. I was going to finish so it makes sense in a minute. The act itself is not. But what it is any woman that will do that next to you is truly 100% comfortable with herself and you. Like they are too shy. Most of them will walk away, just like a woman is going to devour a Big Mac in front of you. That's a sign of comfort levels. That's where they get somewhere. And I know women have changed over the years with that, but it used to be a woman was always tried to be delicate, didn't eat too much, ate salads or Evian, stuff like that.
Well, and even men, I mean, you go on a first date,
Yeah.
you are not farting. You're
And that's-
holding that in until you get in the car by yourself.
I am
and
making that whole
unleashing
car
the
rank.
demon.
But going back to this, and we got some more comments hit too, but going back to this, why I disagree with it is similar to what he said. It depends on what pulls you out of that makes it a step back or not. Sometimes people or your situation and people around you can pull you out of the person you currently are. It happens slowly. It happens unintentionally. Maybe intentionally on their part, but for you, you're not trying to do that. So then you've already taken the step back. It's time to go forward again. It's time to go back to who you were. Relationships are often the number one cause for this. When you get in Jan, you're shaking your head. Please, actually, I want you to elaborate before I go further.
Sheena pulled me out. She said, "Mom, this isn't you. I know you. You are carefree. You have no filter. You say what you want to say." People say, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, really." Okay, that's me. I'm bringing it out. I don't care. I'm not wearing the mask no more. Okay, I like who I am now. I found myself. This is me.
Right.
And anybody that don't like it, they either better accept how I am now or carry on. I'm sorry,
No,
To be
My
all
old-
apologetic.
It's like my oldest daughter. She looks at me and she does not really, and she walks away. She doesn't know me. My youngest knows me. Anybody else, they just look at me and they walk away. I'm like, I'm me now. I don't want to be back in that shell I used to be in. The shell
Yeah.
that I used to be in when I had to behave myself. I don't want to behave myself anymore.
Right, and that's what we go through, and that goes on just general culture right now, very much so. Danny says, "I don't believe it's a step back, a step forward to knowing what you were looking for to continue." I'm going to tell you right now, I do. I look back at myself 5 years ago, and I hate the person that I am now because of it.
Get a cat. Get a cat. They're quiet.
Gotta love dogs.
A cat would be jumping on the keyboard and just filling the camera on the screen. So I mean, it's going to be problems either way. But no, I don't like who I've become, and I do blame one of my past relationships for it, because slowly, what happens in relationships that pulls you away is you get focused on the person you're with so much, so deep and so detailed that you start forgetting about the world around you, and often your friends suffer. The people you used to know, you don't hang out with them anymore. You backburner them. Your family, it happens to too, and you unfortunately get used to that process. You start to just focus on this new person in your life, and you shut the fuck up. And anxious. But you get used to that process. And next thing you know, you look back and realize, and this is what I did. About a year ago, even pre-pandemic, because I started to lose myself because of that, I look back and I realized that my dog won't shut the fuck up. I was like, this is not going well.
Gotta love it.
He evidently has something to say.
Yes, she does. All
Give
right.
him a bone.
It's no.
Not like that, you dirty boy.
Oh, okay. But no, I actually look back and I realized I didn't have friends over anymore. I didn't want to go out and do things. I got so used to being a homebody because they were a homebody. And I didn't have my parties, I didn't have my late nights, I didn't have my get-togethers. I didn't have anything I once had. And that was my fault for letting it happen. But it happened slowly. I didn't realize it until I looked back over the years. And Bill says, sometimes it has to do with how people find you. I was told that when I was young, and then I looked unapproachable, 6'2", 220 pounds. Hair down on my ass, Aussie hat, cowboy boots, beard, and wore all black all the time. But the girls loved me. And
Because of what they seen, not what
Right.
you were.
and that is 100% true. When you are surrounded by people that see the good in you, my career is the perfect example. I hate my voice. I hate singing. I don't like it at all in any way. Because of the people around you seeing what it is and telling me consistently, that actually impacts to my belief that I must be a decent singer. I must be a decent entertainer. Because these people are constantly coming back and talking and seeing me. And that goes for every aspect of life, whether in school, whether in work, or anything like that. Does that happen as far as trying to find yourself, like in work situations? Has anybody else been there? Have they ever lost their work values and tried to get back to them?
When I was back in high school, okay, I wasn't part of the clique. I didn't care, okay? Anyway, one day, I'm lucky I got out of my house when I was in school wearing this. But I had long dark hair, and I had a pair of black vinyl knee-high boots on, a purple velvet shirt, pants, skirt, whatever. Okay. I even wore makeup, which I didn't wear makeup. So I went to school.
Before you continue, I just want to say real quick, Bill, can you got an example of that? I'd love to hit on that in a minute. You said a relationship definitely changes you. So while she's giving her story, if you got an example, go ahead.
So I went to school, and people were noticing me. He goes, "Oh, look at you, blah, blah, blah," all this other stuff. I never wore that again because they were not looking at me. They were looking at me. And I'm like, I never wore it again. I did not like that attention.
So it was positive attention you were getting, though.
Yes, but positive attention, what they were seeing on the outside, not the inside.
Because of what you wore. But how did you feel? This is where people get lost all the time. How did you feel when you wore it? Before you got that attention, when you first put it on, looked at yourself in the mirror, how did you feel? And definitely, Danny, please go ahead as well.
When I looked at myself, hey, I look pretty good. I didn't know I could do this. But then when I got to school, and people that never talked to me before, people that I knew of or knew in school noticed me, or I don't know if it was a compliment or I took it wrong because it was a compliment, but they weren't seeing me. Because afterwards, when I went back to school and I was normal, I was invisible. Nobody seen me again.
Okay, but this is where I get lost sometimes. If you put on this outfit and you look good and you were proud and you wanted to exemplify your outer beauty as well as your inner, but your outer beauty that's why we wear clothes. That's why I don't wear them. What made you upset that other people recognize that as well?
Because they didn't know me before. They didn't see me before.
Okay.
I was invisible until I went to school dressed like this. Nobody noticed me before. Nobody's seen me. I'm walking down the hall and I'm invisible.
So wasn't there a fight in your head going, wow, I could actually be somebody who they would pay attention and notice?
It's like I gotta be dressed like this for people to see me? No, it's not worth it.
Unfortunately, the one thing we can never get away from is we live in a shallow world. We really, really do. I mean, I've talked about it before. Literally, your photo decides whether or not you are compatible with somebody. It's not your personality. It's not who you are deep inside. And that is all extensions of what you went through in school. I went through in school. Anthony probably went through some of it in school as well. And so did Bill, I'm sure. Is Bill holding a lollipop?
That's what it looks like.
Did you bring enough for everybody, Bill?
Yeah, you have long arms.
We're reaching for the lollipop. But I get what you're saying now. I want to go back to formal really quick on here. He says, then you're going back to saying, this is a step back forward. He says, you're not experiencing growth, you're experiencing an environmental situation that has led you to change. But we're not really talking growth, as we were talking briefly at whether it's growth or not. But we're still talking about finding yourself. And environmental change can lose anything, even you. Environmental change includes sand covering stuff up, water washing things away. Environmental change, as you've just stated, can definitely affect you personally. Anthony, you're giving a really weird look. What's on your mind?
Isn't growth a form of change, though?
Anthony, that was brilliant. Good question. See, and he follows with situational changes are different to growth. You could be in a situation where you never need to work again and everything is paid for you if you enjoy your house, job, losing the ability to have growth. That example is a perfect definition of why it is a step back or forwards going backwards. Because you say you're in a situation where you never need to work again, everything is paid for you. Now, if you were a person prior to that who took the pride in the money he made and the things they owned and what they had in life, that they worked for it hard and they had a great work and business ethic, then they met this person, this sugar daddy, sugar mama, paid for everything, and they loved him. They got so used to not working like everybody has done during this fucking pandemic that they really enjoy it until they look back. Now, that person in the situation, when they look back, are they going to look, do you think it's growth or not growth, or not a bad thing for them to say, I want to be the person who valued my work more than the person that's mooching off somebody taking care of me? And I personally think looking back to value your work is growth. That's my personal opinion. Even though it was somebody you were before. Bill, onto the school thing. School clicks start how you are seen in life. Until you make that change. Now, admittedly, I made a change out of school. I was a total different person when I got out of school. I said, fuck the world. I am me. You don't like it. I also, shortly 2 years later, got engaged, lost my fiance in a car wreck. So I had a lot of shit happen that made me look at life differently. But unless you do that change, which most of us never did, you're right. That's how you're going to be seen in life. And we'll all lose that, but we'll find it again. Anthony, you're giving that look again. I just watch Anthony for the look, so I can say, all right, Anthony, speak.
I'm sorry. I'm getting distracted by some of the comments.
Oh, I haven't gotten through. I haven't. Oh, all right. Foundation says also, Bill, if you could suck on any flavor of lollipop, what would it be?
Root beer.
Chocolate.
Okay.
Beer flavored lollipop. You're mean. She says to our
beer.
Root beer, yes. Cream soda for me. I loved cream soda lollipops. Anthony, stop staring into my bloody soul. Danny says, I've been back to the relationships, how it changed somebody. Says, I've been single 5 years. I stay single because in a relationship I lose myself and any focus on myself. I put all focus to assure the other half is happy, then I start to get stuck on forgetting what I enjoyed and liked. It becomes miserable and you can make you become depressed. Then you're completely not who you fully were. And 150% that explains exactly how I felt my last relationship to a T. I put everything in it, and that's bad for people who want to make others happy. Yes, Jan.
There's a twist to that. Okay. I've been married for, 17 years? Okay. I've got a lot of medical problems that I can't fix. It's all medical, okay? Bill and I have been talking for over a year. I've been helping him, and he doesn't realize it, but he's been helping me. Okay? And it's because I'm friends with him now, and I'm not friends with my husband, okay? I'm a convenience from my husband, but I'm friends with Bill. Him and I have a special relationship.
Say wave hi, Bill.
My husband and I, the relationship is marriage. I'm a convenient. I'm his. I even asked him. I says, "Am I more your healthcare worker than I am your wife?" He goes, "Yeah, more or less." Okay, so with Bill,
That's for
I can
formal.
talk about anything. He can talk about anything. He gives me feedback. I give him feedback. I call him out. He calls me out. It's both my husband and I. I have to leave him alone because I can't talk to him.
Now, was that the way you felt when you met your husband, when you first got with your husband? Was it that relationship?
My husband's a very private person. There's a lot of stuff he doesn't tell me. He still hasn't told me, probably. Okay. There's things like when he calls his daughter up, I ask him, "So how would you visit with, Samantha, whatever?" And he'll say, "Yeah, we talked." I goes, "Did you?" He goes, "I don't ask no questions." It's just, I'm like, "You don't ask how her school's going, how her job's going, how your grandson's doing. As you don't ask none of that because that's your daughter." Okay. I've met Bill's daughter. Okay. His daughter and I talk. Okay. There's a lot of things I can talk to him about. I can't talk to my husband about because I stay away from him because he goes from the couch to the bed to the TV, and it's just that's his life. He's in the house. So there is no real communication with my husband and
Okay,
me.
before we, I understand the
Never
story.
really has.
So why did you get with him?
I did love him at the start.
Okay, now that's that. I just
I
want to
love.
stop there,
I
and I want
kind
to
of
say,
love.
go ahead.
I kind of. It's a kind of love. It's not a hate. It's kind of love. Take care of relationship. It's like
Okay,
I took the vows. I'm staying here.
what was the moment that you realized he had changed who you were,
When he started trying to control me.
and you
Don't
let it
do this.
happen?
Don't do that. Don't do this. Don't do that. You spent that money already. I gave you. That's why I decided, okay, I'm getting my own money after I retired. I have my own account, so he don't have to ask me what, how much money you got in the bank now. You
And
know,
that's
it ended up being a control factor because he was the one that was making the money. He's still making the money,
and it
but I
was like
have
a
my
frog
own.
in boiling water, right? It happened so slowly you didn't even realize it probably until you look
Yeah,
back.
yeah,
That's the catch. And that is what this is about. This is finding the person you were before something changed you. Not everybody goes through this. Some people are very happy. They're born who they are. They go through high school who they are. They go to college who they are. And they die who they are. Nothing ever changes. Nothing ever impacts it. However, that is such a very, very small number of people. Because so many things, like we said in the environment, impact us. As Bill said, after graduation, with the school thing, it does change you. Danny agrees with the situational growth thing. Formal Foundation was singing there. You better have been singing it when you typed it, like we did last summer, because for the twist. Because Jan brought up the twist and I have to dance. And Formal Foundation, fuck you for this. Bill's lollipop brings all the boys to the yard. Damn right, it's better than Keith's. No, nobody's lollipop is better than mine.
Shots fired.
Right. And my milkshake, you don't even want to know, girl. Okay. And only one lollipop. All right, moving on to.
oh, he's good. Yeah, he's got a bunch of them.
Oh God, I'm gonna get to that in a minute. Uh, Bill also says back to the Three Stooges. Is it hereditary or environment? And do you think who you are directly is a result of heredity or environment? That's a good question. Go ahead, Anthony. Both. What do you think is the most impactful?
I think environment more so than heredity.
You think
Personally,
that?
I
No,
think the
that's
environment that you're raised in, up into a certain point, definitely forms who you are going to be as an adult.
I won't question that with Jan because I know Jan's answer to a T. It's definitely the
It was.
environment you were
Yeah.
raised in. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
and
I.
there is a
Yeah,
point when you become an adult, right? Or for most people, there's still some people who are going to be kids their whole life, and God bless them, right? But for a lot of people, once you hit a certain age, for me, it was shortly after 21. You start being able to kind of take a look back at your life and yourself and go, is this really who I am as a person, or am I just putting on this front because this is all I know? At least
Okay.
that was my kind of realization of.
Well, no,
personal
you're
growth.
right. Mine was different, but it was the same time period. It was the same type of thing where I looked back, but I thought of it differently. I'm like, I'm not being that person, you know. And I came out so the same thing, but in the opposite way. And I agree
I
with
think
that.
it's
Go
I
ahead,
think
Bill.
it's a couple issues that you deal with. One is okay, hereditary. If you're paranoid schizophrenic and it runs in the family, uh, it can be a hereditary thing, and that determines part of your character. But also your environment. I remember when I was a little child watching my stepbrother beat the hell out of my mom and my dad just sitting in the chair. Now that influenced me because when I got married, I said, I'm never going to hit my wife.
Well, that's definitely
And,
environment too.
you know, and certain things like that, if you have events in your life that will influence decisions that you make in the future, good or bad, you know.
You're a perfect example of this because I'm not going to go back to everything we discussed when you were on a previous show with the alcoholism and stuff, Bill. But what you said watching that you were never going to hit your wife. You were never going to be that person. You've gone through stages in your life. Now, looking back through all that stuff you've been through, would you agree still that it wasn't hereditary and it was just environment, or do you believe there was heredity involved in that?
With my brother, I believe it was heredity because he was paranoid schizophrenic diagnosed, and I had to learn about the subject. And there are certain chemical imbalances in the brain that occur with that, and your decision process and all that stuff, and hearing voices and everything. That's not part of heredity. That's not part of environment. That is a hereditary thing.
Okay.
It's like cancer. It runs in the family. You get it. And but with me, I think a lot of it was environment.
Okay.
I was in a situation that I could not deal with or would not deal with, and that's
I'm
why I
on.
went to alcohol because I didn't want to deal with the situation.
And that's going to bring up Bill says comments coming up that it's going to really hit on that alcohol thing and what you turn to. I agree with you, Anthony and Bill, and well, most of you. I think environment has the biggest part of it, but I think how you deal with it. But first, Bill, what's on your bed?
What's on my bed?
Yeah,
Look,
turn to your left.
Oh, this?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
My daughter's dog's toy. He gets on the
Okay.
bed sometimes and
Right.
chews the hell out of it.
All right.
Sometimes he
We-
lets me have it.
You have formal foundation wine to know.
Can I butt in real quick?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So to the alcoholism thing, right? Because I have a brother and a sister, and my father's an alcoholic, and so all three of us had essentially the same environment growing up, and we all have different takes, and we all have become different people based on that. Like to me, I don't have a problem drinking. I did, but I've kind of got that under wrap. My brother won't touch alcohol, right? And my sister, she's just one of them normal lucky people. So it's, with the environment, it's also an aspect of how you react to the environment.
I think I think
And-
you're right.
We all have the genetic to be an addict.
And what we do to anything, absolutely anything. Addiction on its own is just a trait.
Yeah.
Bill says, I think environment changes your outer shell. You conform to fit in. This is what I was going to bring in. Because that is, the environment does change you. How you handle, how you deal is definitely, I think, partly hereditary. As well, it's environment as well, but it's hereditary. I am just like my mom when it comes to stuff like this and the way she dealt with it. But she taught me, so was environment. But my brother takes after my dad. He doesn't understand or see the same things that I do, even though we were raised and taught by the same people. So I believe there's how you handle it partly has to do with the environment you were raised in, the people who taught you how to deal with that, and what you feel inside, because I do believe sometimes your emotions and your values are hereditary. You know, I do believe that with some people. We're going to go back to Danny here. Danny says the biggest problem is a lot of people think they need another half to be fulfilled and happy on the relationship side. That just is not the case. The truth is, you will never be truly happy until you're happy with yourself. Nailed it. 100% without question, Danny, that's true. All right, moving on. Now, but no, that actually, concentrate on it because it's true, and we've said it before on this show. Repeatedly. And if you ever get in a relationship, know you could be happy without that person. By knowing you can be happy without that person, you are with them for the right reasons. If you are unable to do that, then you need to find yourself first. And that is the secret to being happy for life, pretty much. Is to be happy with yourself where you are and know you're going to make it. You will survive. You will get through life. Things will work out. As long as you can view the positive side and know you are strong enough to weather almost anything. Now, who feels they're strong enough to weather anything? A little shaky, but I am. Because I'll be honest, I've been tested over this last year and a half. And a lot more things than just COVID, but been tested. And some things I feel are almost out of my grasp, but I stop, I step back, I look and say, I can get through this. But Bill, Jan, you didn't raise your hands. Do you not think you can get through things?
I can. I have.
Just didn't want to raise your hand? Just wasn't comfortable?
My
Okay.
husband is bipolar schizophrenic. My husband's bipolar schizophrenic. His father was schizophrenic. It took me within the last probably 5 years to learn how to deal with him because I had to learn about the diseases first. I had to learn the characteristics of them, all the 27 different medicines he's on, which none of them work. So I had to learn how to live with him to keep it on an even keel. So I could stay home for 4 days and then come over here for 4 days, go back home, and I put myself someplace else to where I could stay on an even keel with him. I come
Where did
back
your
over
strength
here.
come to do that?
I learned it from when I worked in nursing homes, when I worked assisted living, when I took care of people myself that were dying. I learned how to do all that. It's called compassion. I can't change him. It's all medical. I can only work with it and not bring the heat up.
Yeah, they're wild
Bill,
today.
where's
All
Benji?
right,
Hey,
so
Bill. Yeah, where's Benji and Ariel, Bill?
They're outside.
usually mine are good. They have like a moment, but they're just having the entire show right now.
Yeah. but
Bill
I-
says
I
he
had-
never. Go ahead.
I had to learn how to deal with him. I had to learn how to keep it on an even keel. Quit laughing.
No, it's my dog right now. It's not you.
Okay. So that's how I learned how to deal with it. That's how I had to learn it. I had to know how to deal with him. I had to know, okay, I'm at Sheena's. I can do whatever I want. Nobody's judging me. Nobody's telling me, no, don't do that. Don't do this. At my house, it's different. I know what I can and cannot do, and I have accepted it.
And you need to find that.
That way it doesn't cause friction.
What about you, Bill? When you had said that, did you when we asked who thinks they can get through anything, was that a yes or a no? Do you think you can?
No, I don't know. I'm in the land of I don't know. Reason being, because I am an alcoholic, okay? I have been in rehab 3 times. All right, and each time I got out, I thought, "Oh, I've got it this time," and I was wrong. And so I don't know. I don't know the future.
Okay.
I'm hoping that.
Well, it's the belief you can. There's certain things. I'll tell you, there is one thing every person on this panel, every person on the planet is not going to be able to weather and get through. And that will be the end of their life. I mean, eventually there's going to be something. The belief is that you believe you can. You have that strength within you. Okay, there's always going to be something that's going to weather. It could be cancer for us, it could be a car, it could just be old age. You know, there's going to be something we're not going to weather through, but that whole journey, we got to believe we can get through all the obstacles until we get there.
I'm gonna live forever.
Oh, that's very sad news for the future generations.
It's gonna be a miserable life for everybody.
I know
Danny
I can
says-
do this. I know I can do this. I'm not letting my husband bring me down. I
That's
almost
exactly-
did. I
that's
almost
the
did, but I'm not letting him bring me down.
I'm proud of you for that. That's a strong move. Good things for you. Danny says an issue and big wrong people do in relationships is blame themselves for things. They assume they were the problem, which may not be the case, and need to accept the fact that the other person wasn't meant for you. Second issue is they move on quickly to another relationship, carrying the self burden to another relationship, which always usually ends in failure. Then the cycle continues. Failure. People need to just learn to set aside and be themselves again until mentally ready to try again. That's the end. 'Cause that's where it stops. I assume there's a limit to how many characters can go in for that, so that's all we got on there. But yeah, and this is where my brother was guilty. I'm not going to lie about that, because him in relationships, he jumped from one to another. It's the fear of being alone, too. The fear you're not going to be able to weather things. You're not going to be able to handle things. And I'm the one that says, well, fuck it. If I'm single, I'm single. I don't really care. You know, I pretty much laugh it off. Like, I want to stay single. I'm happy. I choose to make thousands of people happy rather than one. Personal choice. But what about you guys? Do you think the relationship has ever been an issue for anybody here, that you've been in the bad one, you thought you were the problem, you jumped into something else, and you started a cycle, as Danny says?
Mine was just the opposite. I didn't think I was the problem, but I realized that I was part of the problem, and that's where the honesty of oneself comes in. Okay, I will not assume the whole 100% responsibility for the deterioration of me and my wife's marriage, but at the same time, I know I had something to do with it, and how I handled things pushed it along. And I accept that, and I made amends to her, but we could never get back together again. But I made amends to her, and I told her I know I was wrong, I know I screwed up, and you just got to be honest with yourself, and that's not always easy to do, especially when you don't want to look at yourself.
It's really hard when you're one of those people that think they do no wrong. Which I'm actually one of those people. I really do. 90% of the time, I believe my way is right. It works, and probably 90 to 100%, 99% of the time, it's true. I am right. But when that 1% rolls around, I don't want to admit it. I don't want to believe it.
It just doesn't matter.
Yeah, it just doesn't matter. Just doesn't matter. And that is a problem I face too. But I just go with the numbers. I'm like, well, if 99% of the time it's always worked out, then I'm right this time too. Let's call it a fluke. But it is a problem when you know and you actually are faced with the issue that this really was my fault. This was my doing. And for somebody who never admits they're wrong, it's really hard to get over. And that is finding a new person inside you. That is finding that you are human and you have faults. At least that's what I understood for the humans I've talked to. What about you, Jan? Did you ever feel that way?
Number one, yeah, I can be a bitch. I'm not an angel. Yeah, I can be a bitch. Okay? The relationships I've been in, they may or may not have been my fault, and when it's okay, because I could be a bitch. I can be unreasonable. I could think, okay, I want it this way. It ain't going to go that way because they don't want it that way. Okay? I'm not going to be wrong. I'm not going to be right. Okay. You know what? Do what you want. I'm out of here.
Anthony, have you ever been wrong?
In regards to relationship?
Yeah, fuck it, with regards to anything.
Oh, of course.
Now, how do you view that in, like, a public forum? Like, if somebody says you're wrong, but you know you're wrong, but you're used to always being right in that situation.
Well, if I'm truly wrong, and it has been proven that I am wrong, I have no problem admitting that I am wrong. But
To everybody?
yeah,
Not me. I'm like, you get one. You say a word about it, you're fucked.
I'm not a proud person. If I'm wrong and you can prove me wrong, I'm wrong. It is
I
what
want
it
to
is.
be. When it comes to relationships, especially, I want to be proven wrong. Because usually proving me wrong means happy relationship. Because I base it on history and what I see and what I know and what I've learned over the years, you know. So, in a sense, I want to be proven wrong, but at the same time, I'd rather hear you were right.
You know,
Little
it's funny.
ego.
My daughter, okay, she works in the medical field. She had to take care of COVID people. She wore the whole garb thing, okay? Um, Her guy, he works around a lot of people, okay? He had to wear the mask at work, all right? So my husband, he goes and gets the shots for the COVID, okay? And it just, he kept on and on. He goes, well, she now works in the medical, then this person's around this, and we go to the store, whatnot. So I went and got tested.
Get back to that in a minute.
And I told him, I says, okay, I'll go get tested just to please you, right? Hour and a half later, the nurse calls me up, tells me it was negative. I went up to him and I went, I told you.
You got COVID all over his face.
I had to prove him right.
That's good. I mean, there is a thing. I like to prove myself right. First, Danny, lies. Example, please. Lies. No, not me. So moving on to formal, what he said here. He says, when we're talking back to the hereditary stuff, there's also anti-hereditary. If your brother was born with a family gene and you were not, is the outcome of the anti-hereditary environmental. Well, if that gene does not exist, it's not actually anti-hereditary. It's just differently controlled, and I would say by a gene from somebody else. That gives you the ability. Some people are great without any training of compounding issues deep down. It's a natural thing they possess. They can hold it back, and it never affects them. Some people are not. They're naturally outward, and I don't necessarily think that has to do with hereditary or environment. Some of that's the way you're born, but sometimes it can be hereditary. My brother took a side from my dad, and I pretty much took my mom. That's still hereditary on both sides. But it could go further back, too. I mean, anti-hereditary just pretty much means not hereditary. So, yeah, I do believe some things cannot be hereditary. Bill says, I am happy with myself and I have went through more than most people ever will. I'll probably give you a run for your money at my age right now, Bill, but I'm sure you have. And I've noticed with a lot of people, the strongest ones that are happy with themselves and accept it are the ones who have gone through the most shit in their life. It's the ones that finally just said, this is me. This is what I deal with. Fuck the world. But it also comes from a little bit, I just don't care anymore. You know, I crashed my truck. I was like, of course I crashed my truck. You know, it's like, yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. Raining, the week's gone to hell. I just quit my job, and yeah, I crashed it. Perfect. It's the topper.
We like to call that a breaking point in life.
Yes, yes. That breaking point happened years ago. Well, I think you do more self-reflection when you go through a lot of shit. That's where I think Bill is. Yeah.
I've met some people that have gone through a lot of shit and they play the woe is me. I can't, nothing ever happens good to me. It's never my fault. And they never get out of it. Right? But that's just the way they are. And then you've got people like you who can see the, you know, yeah, there's a lot of shit that's gone wrong with me, but this has made me who I am today. And I'm a better person for it.
Yeah. Those are the strong ones. I know quite a few people that do the same thing and they go with the woe is me. Okay. And that's the one that you take people like us and you're like, we get tired of it. Like, because we're not telling you, the only thing that really keeps us separate is sharing every detail we have. But because we're not telling you, we don't want to hear it because we weathered it, you can too. I think he's quoting me. It says, one thing every panelist and person on the planet cannot weather, though, yet a new reenactment of the birth of Jesus done by cast people wearing toilet rolls as a costume.
I would love to see it.
I absolutely would. I have no idea what that is, but yes, I gotta see it. Bill says, wrong. What is that? I have never been wrong. And Danny says, amen. I don't believe in Bill's eyes he's ever been wrong. But see, that's the ultimate statement, because if you have been wrong, that statement is wrong, so it works. So we're good. Either way, that statement is true. Okay, now let's go out of something. Let's go a little bit out of this box here of the woe is me and the relationships and everything sucks and we're so sad. And let's just talk about natural progression. We all change. Jan, Bill, since you're the ancient ones on here, I'm going to ask, how many times do you think your life has ultimately changed?
Lots.
And just by natural
Lots.
progression, like 16 you become a new person, 21 you become a new person, 25 typically people reevaluate, 30 so lots. Is there anything you used to do that you wish you could go back to? Now this is not about torment. It is just about an age, a time in your life.
When I got married for the first time,
Okay. How old were you?
I was 19, 20,
Okay.
and I did it for the wrong reason. But at the time, because the environment I was in, it was the right reason.
Okay. Why would you want to go back to that though?
To actually be able to get in a relationship that I wanted to be in.
To change it,
That-
that's what you're saying.
Yeah, to where of the relationship I ended up in, because it was the way out of of home.
Okay. What about
There
you,
was
Bill?
incest. There was incest in the home. I had to
Right.
get the hell out of there.
And we had talked
So-
about that before on one of our previous shows.
Right.
And,
Right. So that's why when I met the guy in school, okay, dated, whatnot, and everything, 18 years old, Easter Eve night, my stepdad kicks me out. And I didn't know what to do.
But okay, I wanna redo. First, I'm gonna bring up formals. Oh, first Danny says, Keith, let's get together and bring in the toilet paper. Yes, bring the toilet paper. We will reenact that shit. Formal says, but that doesn't mean at the time it was the right move for the time, but it's the wrong move for now as your life has progressed. So, is it still the right move to go back or wrong move? You say, based on your only thing, it was the right move for the wrong reasons?
It was the right move for the wrong reason.
Did that not have a huge impact on your life today, though?
It had a huge impact.
And I think that's what he's saying also. You got to look at the positivity on some of that. Bill, I'm going to ask you, but I want to clarify this question a little bit because I think I caught you a little off track on this. I'm referring to the standard age group, whether your biggest responsibilities are going to school, your biggest responsibility is just paying for a car, or, just the age, not specific events in your life. Because what leads people to want to find themselves again, including me, is going back to a particular time when people were around and they weren't too busy. So with that in mind, go ahead.
There's no other
Me
explanation.
going back, if I had. Oh.
No, you were okay with your explanation. I'm just asking. Go ahead, Bill.
With me going back, if I wanted to go back to a time, I would like to go back to a time where I felt more in control, where I had a job, I was secure, I was making money, and I was party hardy, not an alcoholic per se. I was on my way, but didn't know it. But I would like to go back to where I felt confident in myself, because along the way I lost that confidence. I lost a belief in myself, and I would like to go back to that and try. Maybe there's something there I could have picked up and kept.
Right.
but there's nothing. Yeah, you can't change the past. You know, I
But do
mean,
you ever
if I
yearn?
wanted to go back, really go back, I'd go back to my childhood where I'd be oblivious to all the things going on in the world.
Do you ever yearn to bring them back, though? To bring those moments or those times back?
No, I reflect on them. I don't. Bring
Okay.
them back. Some things is best left in the past, you know, and because if you live in the past, you're not going to grow up in the future. You know,
Yeah.
you're stuck.
I need to learn that myself, actually, because that's something I'm having a hard time with. Formal says I go back to certain areas of my life and add certain square plastic contained items into my wallet. And as long as they weren't there too long and expired and didn't work because they break, whatever those items happen to be, that would be good. So how many kids you got? So, that's my question for you, Formal.
Oh, that's good.
But I get that. But that kind of shocks me. You would be one of the, if you were actually being fully honest with yourself, and you do have kids, and that's what you're referring to, you'd be one of the first people to say, I would make sure I had that available to avoid having kids. But it also depends on your situation, whether you're still a part of that or not. So, what about you, Anthony? You haven't been around as long. Same question. A period of time in your life where you think you were the ultimate better person by just you were yourself. And again, we're not looking for specific issues that happened, just a general time.
Here and now, to be
Here
quite
and now, you
honest,
think is your honest. I respect that because I would like to go back to my late 20s,
there are
early 30s.
aspects of my life that I miss, right? Like when I was in college, me and some friends would get together on a daily basis and play music. I miss those days, right? But I don't miss who I was. If that makes sense. I'm
No,
perfectly
no.
like I'm
Well,
the
that comes to a
happiest
point.
I've been, minus the few days where I hate everything with life. But in general, I am the happiest me I've been and the truest me I've been since I've been around.
And I think this is something that Formal is actually going to discover because I believe we talked to him before. I think he was in his early 20s, I think he said, when he was on here before. And like I said, you're talking about here and now, and you're 30-ish, and the time I'd like to go back to was my late 20s, early 30s, when I felt it was good. And I was the same way. I didn't like the person necessarily I was. I grew into that person. I see that as the pinnacle of who I was. Before the things tore it down, it was more carefree. It was just a more fun time. The fact that I always had people over, I was never alone. You know, this alone shit's new to me.
Oh, it's nothing.
It's nothing, all right. Thank you. Walk me through
Don't
it.
worry about it. You get used to it.
Back to Formal on this. Okay. He says, ask a question. I'd never mentioned kids. Yeah, but that's also not an answer. And let's go. It's not the only thing it prevents. But again, I don't know what items you speak of. Well, it was just, for a little bit of humor of that, of how many kids, assuming that's might be what you're talking about. But could be
Or
other
how
things.
many medications have you had to be on?
How many shots did you get? I was like, there could be a lot of different things, actually. And I get what you're saying on there. Just if it was kids, that was my curiosity, because there was no answer. But I know you, Formal. You don't give answers. You give questions. Which can be good as well. So keeping that in mind, and I'm going to go back to Jan again, because I don't think I worded the question properly the first time. In mind with our answers, where do you think you were at the pinnacle of your true self?
I'm happy now. I wasn't happy.
So yours is right now.
Yeah. I'm
So you're
happy
the
now.
example of successfully finding who you want to be.
Yeah.
And I applaud that. I absolutely applaud that. Back to Formal on here. He says, late 20s, there was a 100% turning point after stopping drinking, after raising kids, and knowing I need to be 100% for them and not for me. So you
The only
might be having
downside-
that. Yeah, go ahead.
The only downside about now, even though I'm happy now, the only downside is, which is really freaking funny every time I think about it. Okay, what was it, like 2 months ago now, I guess? I had a CT scan. I told you about it before. and they ran a scan 3 times. They did a kidney scan, and I have basically one kidney, and it's working decreased by 35%. Then, frickin' basically overnight, I get gout. So now I'm basically living on painkillers to keep the
Gotcha.
gout at bay. And I even put it on Facebook. I says, you know what? I says, I almost wish I was paralyzed so I wouldn't feel the pain on my feet. So I go back to the doctor on Friday because the first time I went to him, my blood pressure was 63 over something. And I told him, yeah, I've been feeling down for a few days off. So I quit taking the blood pressure medicine. He said, monitor it for a month. So it's been all over the place. Okay. Just a lot of different shit going on. And I'm like, you know what? Great.
I get you.
Going to be 63 yet 68 years old and I'm starting to fall apart. But you know what? I don't care. I'm going to
What
keep
you just
going.
keep the positive attitude. That's what's going to get you through everything. It's
I'm going to
positivity.
keep going.
It's
I
the
have
strength
to
from those
keep
around
going.
you. Yes, and we
I'm
all do.
happy
We
right now.
and
I'm
you
happy
should
where
be.
I am right now. I'm going to keep going.
Good. That's the strength we look for. That's the strength a lot of people don't seem to have. So, let's bring Formal up again. He says the change from doing what I need to keep me happy to doing what I need to be done to keep them happy and looked after was the change that kept me keeping me happy, if that makes sense. It does, because that is the foundation of my personality. Instead of keeping me happy,
Anthony.
their happiness is my happiness. It's not the kids with me, because kids, well, they'll just grow up, become adults, and I don't like adults. But for me, it's just other people in general. But keeping other people happy is that change that made me truly happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked about before, it's technically a form of selfishness, and well, I like that kind of selfishness. And it's a very formal foundation. It's a very formal foundation. I like that. Okay, so let's steer a little bit away from the growing up, the past tragedies and stuff that we've dealt through, because we know we've been through them. We talked about that a lot in these shows. But can we go back? What has stopped us? Many of us, probably all of us, Anthony's probably in the midst just getting out of it, of the partying, of the wild times, of the people coming over, just having random game nights, being able to go on vacation and do fun things on a whim, without the responsibility. Not can we go back? I shouldn't say can we go back referring to responsibility, but doing those things. Can you go back? The biggest problem I have is people think that they have jobs. They have family. They can no longer get together. They can't have fun anymore. They can't do that. Can we? Or do we just accept progression?
If it's worth it to you, you'll make time.
But it's not about me. It's something. Well, we're talking about me apparently. Okay, so it's something I want, but it's the people around me that used to be a point of this. You want to go camping? I don't think I'm going to be able to go camping. Why? You want to do this? Well, I don't know if I can. Why? We have the same bills and responsibilities. Why? How do you convince other people of such things? Formal says, by the way, Keith and Anthony, I'll see you both next time. We'll be here Sunday. And Jan and Bill, great to meet you and have a great evening. Thank you for being on here, Formal.
Have a good one, Formal.
Yep, have a good one.
So,
Yep.
the only thing I can say to that, Keith, right, is because I've been in that situation with a few friend groups to where we used to hang out on a weekly basis and then everyone gets lives, right? But one thing I found is the people who truly were my friends in that group still make time to get together, right?
But what you will find is that number is going to continue to dwindle.
Oh, yeah.
To the point that all of them, and that's my situation now, and I'm only, 10 years older than you, but
you make new friends.
And I did, but you make new friends in an environment that they're not used to. Again, my career has a lot to do with this, because I lived that party life every night. And we go back to people's houses all the time, and we all have fun, and we all drink and get fucking stupid because that's where I live. That is my career. Whereas most people who moved on, and you know what? I want that shit back. I feel I was my strongest self around that. When I'm entertaining people, I feel my strongest. When I have parties over here, I feel at my strongest. And I want that back because I feed off other people. And now that I'm alone, I don't feel I can do that anymore.
But who are you really, Keith?
I'm an entertainer. I love people. It's not even the entertainer. I just love people. Everything about them, the good ones, the bad ones, the thieves, the non-thieves, the drug addicts, the sobers, the alcoholics, all of them. I love the uniqueness of the individual person, and I thrive off it. And it truly makes me happy to get to know all these different people. I
No
don't get to do
judgment.
that. Now I just get alcoholics.
Things changed for me after I got married.
Referring to my job. I was like, well, how did it change for you, Bill?
Well, because I was always party hardy. All right. My only responsibility was getting up in the morning and going to work. I didn't have to, I didn't have to deal with baby needs a brand new pair of shoes. And I didn't have to, there was a lot of things I didn't have to deal with that I had to deal with because now I'm not functioning as one person. I'm functioning as a group. All right. With that comes responsibilities. I can't afford to go skiing and break my legs and lose my job. All right. So therefore, I don't go skiing. I mean,
there's limits to that. You can't do the dangerous stuff you used to do. That's true. I do. I worry now walking on ice that I'm going to fall and break a leg. Before I'd run across it, fall, go, did you guys see that? I fell through. I'm like... And now it's concern because our bodies just don't react the same as they once did. And I understand that. We can't do the same thing. But just going out and having a drink, remembering what good times were. And the oddest thing, the biggest group of people I have that I see at bars are between the ages of 21 and 30 and the ages of 45 and like 60. Because from 30 to 45, there's a family thing. They get families, that's usual, so they slow down. But they forget about going and having a good time. They forget what it is. They're trapped day and night. It's work, it's kids, it's a cycle. And what we're talking about is things happen so slowly that you forget how to enjoy your time on this planet. Bill says even if you accept progression, others don't. They believe that they have somehow grown up and adult at some point. Bar friends, real friends, and work friends are sometimes different, and they really are. My our bar friends, probably 98 to 99% of those people, no, I'd never see them outside of work. I would never talk to them. They would never be there if I needed something. I won't say they wouldn't be there because I have done things and more people were there than I expected. But a lot of them, like in a personal life, I couldn't call them and say, let's go to a movie. Let's play some euchre. I have 2 people I know from the bar that I can do that with. One of them's on this panel. It's true. You're talking to a guy, though, that couldn't go home without a house full of people waiting. That lived his entire life that way. And now it's just too much for people to do. I want to go camping. We can't go camping. Why? What point do you think you have to stop your life? Do you think you can't have fun? You can't merge fun with responsibility.
Well, and this is where you might not be happy with me, with my stance on this, but...
That's why I'm going to have one friend in a minute.
Just because you say what they are doing is not having fun, doesn't mean it's not having fun to them. Right?
But
it was at one point, right? And I understand where you're coming from, because there were things that I used to do with the group that I don't normally see very often anymore that I thought was a great time. Like, I had so much fun doing it. But now I genuinely don't have any urge to do those things ever again. And it's not that I don't want to see them, it's not that I don't want to do things with them, but it's just the activities that we used to do, I have no interest in that.
But that's not entirely true. First, to Bill's comment, I have a lot of old friends that don't even want to talk about the good old days. They act like it never happened. Well, that's part of the issue that I'm talking about as well.
Right.
But that's not true, because you know what you said is they're not having the fun, but yet you come over, and I'm using you for examples. You've been here. We drink, we sing, we play euchre, we do stupid shit like that, and it's
No.
fun and memorable. It's you forget that those times, for a lot of people, not necessarily just you, but you forget that those times were fun. It's not that you found things to replace them. It's you forgot they could be fun too. Whatever said we can't go to a haunted house.
I hate haunted houses.
Well, that's you, but I'm saying in general, some kids. Some people never liked them,
There
but
was-
what makes you say in the future you can't do this anymore? I'm too old.
Oh,
There was something that
that
Sheena-
mentalities.
Yeah, go ahead, Shan.
There was something that Sheena still remembers, and she was just able to reach up to the counter. She was little. The guy I was with, he died years and years ago. He was alcoholic, cirrhosis of the liver thing. Anyway, he used to drink Southern Comfort Coke and everything. So one of the kids, something was going on. We went to go see whatnot. He just made a drink. They left it on the counter. All right. So we get back out on the counter, and he's like, "Where's my drink? I just made it." He just made a full glass of Southern Comfort Coke, had the ice in it. I'm like, where the heck is your drink? We looked over. Sheena's sitting on the floor in front of the furnace room in the kitchen, and she's laughing. I'm like, are you kidding me? She just barely got tall enough to reach that counter. She got to hold that glass, and she drank the whole damn thing.
That's hilarious.
She still remembers that. I
Yeah.
put her to bed, and she just went to bed. Good night, poopy head. Good night, poopy head.
And mine was
said,
a Long
"She's
Island my mom made.
But she remembers. I mean, we had a lot of good times, but nobody got
Yeah.
hurt. There was drinking, but nobody got drunk. There was smoking. Didn't drink, and I didn't smoke the weed. I took care of the kids. But we had a good time. And that was from when I was in my 20s, 23, whatever, all the way up until my 30s. But we had a good time.
And that's what I'm talking about. It's those simple good times. Bill says he brought up the closing of New York, and people just said, so what? And things that matter to you, they don't matter to other people. Sometimes it's hard to deal with because it was such an inspiration for your life, and to them it was just time that passed. And it's a really hard thing to accept, and that's, what I want to get back to, because like I said, it was my shining. That's what I mean by finding myself. It's finding where I was happy, what I needed to do that again. The example I want to give as far as my brother I can use again for the example on this, and it's going to work for and against. My brother, I kept telling him, come up to the bar, or let's have a drink, or let's go out for lunch and have a few drinks or something like that. No, I got responsibilities, I got all this shit. I mean, I get that. We can't get plastered like we used to. First of all, our hangovers last for a week. Like, to start with. It's not like we can restart the next day. But, I understand those basic reasonings on there. But then he comes over one day, and I'm like, well, fuck it. I'll make some margaritas. We'll sit by the pool. We'll have chips and queso, and we'll just enjoy the day. We'll chill. It's going to be a great day. And we got fucked up. Like, so fucked up. It was so great. And he loved it. And he had a great time for something he hasn't been able to do in forever. And he took the next day off of work to come do it again. Because it was reintroduced.
Everybody.
And that's what I think people are forgetting is that one time, and Anthony, you kind of have that. You do. It is going to the bar. So I get that you have that more than I see because I'm working. I'm at my job. So I don't see it as well. But the bar isn't the only source of fun.
No.
And I wish people could remember that there's nothing saying you can't go play a game of putt-putt golf. Or you can't go to Disney World or anything like that. Just to go. Just to have
Disney
fun.
World sucks.
Disneyland's pretty cool.
I've never been. I don't have kids. Maybe if I have kids, then they will.
Disney World is cool. Everything around Disney World is cool.
Okay.
Well,
Well, maybe
Epcot
we'll have to
and
make
all
a trip
that.
one day.
we can do that. But that's ultimately what I'm just saying is I want to bring some of these times back, and I can't. And sometimes it's really hard, but understand what people are looking for or looking at. For times, Anthony, you know this, when you have visited, I want to play cards. I want to do things I used to do because it's just, those are the greatest memories of my life.
Well, yeah, they take you back to the good old days.
Yeah. And I always wonder, why do they have to change? Why do they have to
I
end?
want the kids to go back. I want the
Yeah.
kids to be young again so I can see them again.
There you go. That's another reason too. Unfortunately, you are right. Progression is a bitch. Progression of time. And as we get older. But I've seen people have just as much fun at 80 years old than some of my friends who are 30. Because
I
they
can
forgot.
have fun around the right people. I can have fun around the right people. I can have fun here. At home, it's more like a business. I'm taking care of my husband. I'm taking care of the house. I'm taking care of the yard.
Yeah, that sounds like a business.
And I accept it because I know what my role is now. Over here, I can do what I want. At home, I know what the difference is. And I've accepted it, so I'm happy with it now.
We can change. We can go back. We can go forward. We can do anything we want. Who we are is not set in stone, but the one thing we'll always long for, I'm guilty of it as much as anybody else, is the past. It's going to be who we were, and when you've had that pinnacle of your life, you're always going to look back and want it. But what Anthony said is totally true. You forget to look in the here and now. You forget to look at the things that are surrounding you in the future you can still have. And I wish more people could see it. You're never going to go back to when you were kids because you're not kids. You're never going to go back to before you had a mortgage and had to work to pay that because your family is often gone, or you're not living at home with mom or dad. You're never going to get that back, but nothing is stopping you from being able to create brand new memories with brand new people. Because let's face it, those past memories at one point were brand new with brand new people. Life's not over, and when it comes to finding out who you are, the most important thing to realize and to look at is who you are. What makes you happy? What was that moment? My happiness came from being around people and loving people and entertaining people. I still do that. I still can find happiness in what I do. I can find other ways to do it. It's spending time with them. Well, if it's truly the happiness was from spending time with them, then it shouldn't fucking matter if we're playing cards or not. Because I'm spending time with them. Look at the values. Look at what really makes you happy. And ignore all the other shit you've been made to believe makes you a better person, and find out what makes you a better person to yourself. Ultimately, you are the one you have to please. Anthony, you're at the pinnacle of that right now. You are the one you please. You are the one who you have to live up to, and you're going to create memories right now they're going to live for the remainder of your life. And I love that, and I admire it to you. It doesn't help that most of my friends are younger, too, which makes me really look at them like, fuck you, I've been there. I want to be back there. But
Well, you know.
But you find out who you are. You find out where your happiness is and where it truly lies. And based on what you have said and what we've talked about personally, too, your wants and desires and experiences have also changed. But it doesn't mean they make you any less happy, as you stated to me, that you're enjoying them the same. Bill, you're a roller coaster of events in your lifetime. I know that. I think... Oh, no, you're unmuted, which is awesome. Okay, so Bill, you're a roller coaster of events that have happened to you. You've definitely gone and found out, who you are on multiple occasions and lost it equally from different things in your life. But I'm glad you found it. I'm glad you found yourself again. And I'm glad you're happy on the path you are going. You see yourself as being a success soon. I want to say that I also see that in you. It's always going to be a struggle.
I mean, I see myself moving forward instead of backwards, or in a dead stop.
That's exactly what you have to do. Always focus on the forward. Always focus on the future. If you need any tips on that, ask Anthony. He's got the advice for you. And Jan, your life was a shit show. You've been through so much stuff. Hi, Sheena. I'm assuming that's Sheena. If that's your husband, we got to talk. All right, have a good time at work, Sheena. You can't hear me, but there you go. Special guest appearances. But, Jan, you've been through a fucking wave of shit through your entire life, obviously. We've had you on several shows. We've seen you've gone through. But what you said now, this right here is the happiest time you've experienced. And that is what people have to remember. You can get there, and you will be there, and you are a shining example of able to look back on all the bullshit stew that you were brought up in and say, this is where I need to be, this is where I am. It's never too late. My biggest problem that I can't learn is that it's not too late. I think it is.
Nope.
I'm like,
Never
wait,
is.
I'm like 10, 20, 30, I'm going to be dead. You know, that's how my age. I'm like, I can't, but you're the shining example and you're an inspiration to me as well. So thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody. Coming up on our next show, well, first we have our open forum Sunday. Yay, we're back. And then our next topic on Wednesday is Young Mind and Aging Body. This is going to be... yeah, this is going to be a very... Yeah, I have...
I'm in denial.
So we have some panelists already. I was like, we were. But you know what? The thing is, it affects you whether you are 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. It affects you. You always feel old. And then you look at people younger and go, that's not old. But yeah, when you were that age, you're like, I'm fucking old.
I'm getting there.
At one point. Yeah. But it's not. And it's something that affects everybody. So we're going to talk about that. How do you get through it every time when you just realize, similar to tonight, that you just can't do the things you used to? You just can't quite, make things happen the way you want it to. And that should be an interesting show. That's Wednesday. Sunday is our open forum, of course. Don't forget, you can chat live during the broadcast, and we will be right there to answer all your questions, topics, comments.
I want
We
my
are there for you.
I'm looking for my
T-shirt one. Don't get greedy on me. And that's my fault. Some shit went down. I forgot to order it. I'm gonna send it. I just forgot to send it. I'm gonna send it. That's my fault. Extra large. I gotcha. I went out of town, and your address is here. Anyway, you can also chat anytime just by going to our Facebook page or going to our Your Shoulder Voice website, where it's kind of like a social media network to talk with people who not necessarily all your friends are going to see, so you can talk about issues you're going through, and people will help you out based on their past experiences. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and follow Your Shoulder Voice on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, and that it? Twitch, Twitter, YouTube? That's it. And Facebook. That's the one. Okay. So that's it. Thank you, everybody. This has been great. I've had a good time. I hope you have too. We all good?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Hey guys, Keith Liffin here for Ear Shoulder Voice. While you're here, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and follow so you can be notified of all our upcoming broadcasts that we'll be bringing to you live every week. Or head on over to our brand new social network and website, earshouldervoice.com, where you can be notified of all our show schedules, suggest new topics, join others like you in a judgment-free zone, or be a guest panelist yourself. Yep, that was a show. That was another show. Yeah. Somebody's getting a call. I think it's Bill. Oh, there we go.
And then there were two. Dun, dun, dun.
I didn't even crave a cigarette but once.
One of these bad boys.
Yeah, it didn't bother me, actually. It's the fucking world. Now it's bothering me because, I'm also, I've been drinking now.
I finished 2 beers and I was like, you know what? I should have brought 3 in the room. Should have brought the third because I'm empty.
That's not
It's
good.
a damn shame.
That is
Damn
not
shame.
good. You can't be empty.
I mean, I could have cracked that open, but
I could have poured more, but
I would have had to pull a John and drink from the bottle. 'Cause either that, or I'd pour like a pint glass of Jameson.
John's
and,
first time on the show, I'm never going to forget that. Like,
Oh, just
hey, here I am.
yeah.
Like, okay, good thing this is not our alcoholism show.
That might have looked pretty bad.
Right. No, that was good. So yeah, thank you. It's weird, that stuff. It can affect you at any age, though. It can.
Oh, yeah.
You look back on some of that.
Well, and I mean,
If I would have followed your path. If I never would have gone through this year and a half of pretty much being alone for the majority of it, I probably never would have looked back in the same way.
I've only gotten to the point where I am because of this past year and a half. I was a miserable fuck, and I didn't even know it up until last year.
Well, that's kind of what happened. Is I realized how I missed everything and things weren't the same and all this other crap.
Yeah, when COVID first hit and lockdowns first started, I was a fucking mess.
I'm still a fucking mess.
And then I don't know, I can't pinpoint what happened.
You know-
but one day it was just like, ding, fuck it, it doesn't matter.
That's the life I did. That's what I was. And I don't know where. That's what I want to get back to, is having that feeling, that knowledge. I mean, I know it, but
Yeah, but well, and it's easy to
enact on
everyone
it.
knows it,
yeah.
right? But it's easier said than done.
And that's what I want to get back to.
Yeah.
I just miss it. But yeah, you
Stick
fuck
with
me
me,
over.
I'll show you the ropes.
All right, you going to teach me? I want to be like you, Anthony.
Just tell everybody to fuck off.
I've been doing that for years. That was half of my enjoyment.
That's what helps. I mean, fuck, I don't
It
care.
does.
I just stopped caring what people thought.
Eliminating care in your life is one of the best things you can do sometimes.
Yeah.
It
But
really is.
It makes me a very horrible person to some
No.
people.
Well, maybe to some, but
I've been called very, very colorful names.
But you know what? The ones who usually think of you as a horrible person are the ones who think the world should always be about them.
I never thought of it that way.
It is. That's the ones who are not taking the chance. They don't want honesty. They don't. Honesty is the biggest one. That's me. Like, no, that sucked. You know, especially in karaoke and stuff. It's like, no, you
Well,
sucked.
I'm always awesome, but
Nah, you sucked a couple times.
well, that's only when I'm drunk. And Josh tells me to sing a song I have no business singing.
Yeah, that's usually where it comes from.
That's the combination of the two.
Yeah. Yeah, well, drunk is always a good portion of that.
Yo, for sure.
I miss it. I miss it. I miss getting drunk.
See you, my friend, soon.
Yeah, yeah. I miss the good, really crazy times that were associated with it. But you know what? There's a lot more to come because, like I said, it's the worst leg of your life is like 30 to 40. Like mid-30s to mid-40s. Because that's when everything drops from your life and you go through the change. And I haven't hit that second change. But I'm
Fair.
waiting for it.